Stop letting your mind bully you. Stop letting thoughts run wild while you sit still and suffer. Anxiety is not a life sentence. It's a habit, a loop your mind has learned to play, and today we break it. This isn't about breathing exercises or tricks. This is about mastering yourself, understanding your thoughts, taming your emotions, and reclaiming control. If you've been living in fear, drowning in what-ifs, or trapped in overthinking, this is your moment. Listen carefully, because from this moment forward, you stop reacting. You start ruling your mind.
Chapter 1. Your mind is not you. Your anxious mind loves pretending it's you. It loves to whisper, "This is who I am. I'm just an anxious person." No, that's not true. You've just been listening to the same voice for too long. Your thoughts are not your identity. They are echoes, repeated signals from a brain that got comfortable running the same program. It's not you. It's repetition. It's conditioning. And the moment you understand that, you take back control. Listen carefully. Your mind is a tool that works for you, not against you. But when you stop managing it, it starts managing you. That's why you wake up already anxious. That's why you overthink before you act. You've let the mind become the master. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. That's the key. Every anxious person must begin here with this truth. Until you see that separation, nothing changes, because you can't fix something you think is you. You can only fix something you can see. So right now, you start seeing. You start observing. When the thought says, "What if I fail?" You notice it. You don't fight it. You don't follow it. You just say, "There's the anxious thought again. Not me, just a pattern." That small moment, that distance, is where peace begins. It's not about eliminating thoughts. It's about eliminating identification. Stop calling anxiety my anxiety. Stop saying, "I am anxious." Say, "Anxiety is visiting." That single shift changes everything. Your anxious thoughts are like clouds moving across the sky. You are the sky. The sky never fights the clouds. It just allows them to pass. That's what mastery looks like. Stillness while everything moves around you. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can feed the thought, or you can watch it fade. Every time you feed it with attention, fear, or reaction, you make it stronger. Every time you watch it, calmly, silently, you make yourself stronger. That's the game. The anxious mind survives on your attention. It feeds on reaction. It thrives on your belief that it's real, that it's you. Starve it. Detach from it. Observe it, but don't join it. Say to yourself, "That's not me. That's just noise." Understand this. Your mind's job is to produce thoughts. That's what it does. It's like a heart that beats or lungs that breathe. It's automatic. You can't stop thoughts from appearing, but you can stop believing every one of them. That's control. That's awareness. You don't need every thought to be positive. You just need to stop obeying the negative ones. You don't need to silence your mind. You just need to see through it. The goal is not to fix the mind. It's to master the response. When anxiety rises, it's your opportunity to practice separation. Say it out loud if you have to. This is not me. This is my mind talking. That's the moment power returns to you. And remember, your brain learned anxiety through repetition. It can unlearn it the same way, through new repetition. You repeat peace. You repeat control. You repeat awareness. You train your attention to stop chasing every thought like a dog chasing cars. The truth is, anxiety isn't intelligent. It's habitual. It's your brain's safety system misfiring, replaying warnings that no longer matter. But you've been treating those warnings like commandments. You've believed them, followed them, lived by them. Now, you stop. From today forward, your mantra is simple. I am not my mind. I am the observer. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you spiral. Say it when fear knocks on the door. Every time you repeat it, you weaken the pattern. Every time you repeat it, you strengthen your awareness. That's the discipline. Not fighting, but watching. Not controlling, but noticing. Not reacting, but responding. That's what emotional control really means. You have to stop seeing thoughts as enemies and start seeing them as signals. They're not here to punish you. They're here to test you. And your job is to respond with mastery. When a thought says, "You're not enough," you say, "Thank you, mind, but I'm not interested today." When it says, "What if it all goes wrong?" you say, "Maybe it will, maybe it won't. That's not my job right now." That's emotional dominance. That's control. You'll notice something incredible when you start doing this. The thoughts lose power. They stop yelling. They become background noise. And then one day you realize the anxiety didn't go away. You just stopped mistaking it for you. That's the quiet victory no one sees. Not loud, not dramatic, but life-changing. Because when you stop identifying with fear, you start identifying with strength. When you stop identifying with panic, you start identifying with peace. When you stop identifying with thoughts, you start identifying with awareness. You become the witness, the calm in the storm. The one who doesn't react, who simply chooses. You have that choice every moment. You had it yesterday, you'll have it tomorrow. The anxious mind will come knocking again. It always does, but now you'll know how to answer. You'll open the door, nod, and say, "I see you, but you're not me." Then you'll walk away. That's power. That's control. That's freedom. Understand this. Mastery doesn't come from never feeling anxiety. It comes from never being fooled by it again. You can feel fear and still move. You can feel panic and still act. Because you are the commander, not the noise. You are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. That awareness is unshakable. That awareness is your home. That awareness is peace. Repeat that truth until it becomes automatic. Repeat it until it becomes identity. Because that's how you rewire the brain. Repetition, consistency, awareness. That's the discipline most people avoid, and that's why they stay anxious. You're not here to stay anxious. You're here to learn how to quit your anxious mind for good. And it begins here with separation. So remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You've just taken the first step toward emotional control. You've just created distance between who you are and what your mind says. That's the foundation. That's the starting point of mastery. And now that you've reclaimed that control, it's time to face what feeds the loop. Because anxiety doesn't live in the present, it lives in repetition. You're ready to break that repetition. You mastered awareness. Now let's destroy the cycle.
Chapter 2. Anxiety is a loop, not a life. Anxiety wants you to believe it's permanent. It wants you to think, this is who I am. This is my life now. But that's the lie. Anxiety isn't forever. It's a loop, a pattern, a cycle that keeps spinning because you keep feeding it. The anxious mind survives on repetition, the same triggers, the same reactions, the same avoidance. You wake up, think the same thoughts, feel the same fear, and then confirm the same story. I'm anxious. This is just me. No, that's the loop talking. You are not broken. You are just stuck in a pattern your brain doesn't know how to exit. But patterns can be broken. Loops can be interrupted. That's the key. Let's break down how this works. Every anxious cycle follows the same formula: trigger, thought, fear, avoidance, relief, repeat. You see something that triggers discomfort. Your mind reacts with a fearful thought. You believe that thought. You panic. You avoid the situation or try to control it. You feel temporary relief. And that relief, that short, false calm, teaches your brain that avoidance works. So the next time the same trigger appears, the brain repeats the pattern. That's how anxiety grows roots. Not because the trigger is real, but because your reaction keeps confirming the loop. You've been teaching your brain the wrong lesson. That fear equals safety, that avoidance equals control, that comfort equals peace. But peace doesn't come from avoidance. Peace comes from exposure. Peace comes from doing what your fear says not to do. Peace comes from breaking the loop. You have a choice. Every anxious moment is a fork in the road. Feed it or face it. That's it. 2 options. And whichever one you choose becomes your training. If you feed it, if you obey the anxious voice, your brain learns fear is power. If you face it, if you do the thing anyway, your brain learns fear is fake. That's the training ground. That's where freedom lives. So how do you break the loop? You interrupt it at the weakest point, the reaction. You can't always control the trigger. You can't always stop the thought. But you can always control your reaction. That's where your power is. The next time anxiety hits, slow everything down. Pause. Notice what's happening. Label it for what it is. This is the loop. My brain is repeating an old script. That simple sentence takes you from victim to observer. That's awareness in action. Then breathe, not to calm yourself, but to prove to your brain that you are safe right now. The anxious loop thrives on future fear and past pain. It cannot survive in the present moment. The more present you become, the weaker anxiety gets. And here's the truth most people never learn. Breaking the loop will feel uncomfortable. At first, it might even feel worse. Why? Because you're going against the habit. You're denying the brain its favorite drug, avoidance. You'll feel the tension rise. Your body will scream, get out, escape, control it. But that's when you must stay.
That's when the rewiring happens. That's the exact moment the brain learns nothing bad happens when I stay. That's the key. You don't overcome anxiety by feeling safe first. You overcome anxiety by showing your brain you were safe all along. Think of it like breaking a bad rhythm. If you tap your fingers in the same pattern every day, your body memorizes it. You could stop it, but it will take conscious effort. Same with anxiety. It's just a mental rhythm that's been practiced too long. And now, it's your job to change the beat. You change it by action, by doing the opposite of what the anxious loop demands. When anxiety says don't go, you go. When it says don't speak, you speak. When it says don't try, you try anyway. That's how you break the pattern. Not with hope, with repetition. Not with comfort, with courage. You have a choice. Every anxious moment is a training session. You can either reinforce the fear or retrain your brain. And every repetition counts. Each time you resist avoidance, the loop weakens. Each time you act despite fear, the loop short-circuits. Your job is not to get rid of anxiety. Your job is to break the cycle that keeps it alive. The more you interrupt that cycle, the faster your brain learns, this is not danger. This is discomfort, and I can handle discomfort. That's the new truth. That's the rewiring. Here's what people misunderstand. They think they need to feel brave before they act. No. You act first, and bravery follows. You move first, and calmness catches up. Action is the reset button. That's how you exit the loop. The loop loves analysis. It feeds on overthinking. You've probably caught yourself saying, "What if this happens? What if that goes wrong?" But that's just the loop stalling you, keeping you trapped in mental motion instead of real motion. Remember this: thinking is not solving. Action is solving. That's the difference between staying stuck and breaking free. If you ever feel trapped, say to yourself, "This is the loop trying to survive." That one sentence reminds you you're not the loop, you're the observer. And as the observer, you can choose something different. You have a choice. Every anxious moment is a fork in the road. React or rewire. And every time you choose to rewire, you win. Maybe not instantly, maybe not completely, but you win because you broke the pattern once. And once is all it takes to start freedom. Let's make it practical. When anxiety comes, write down the loop. Step 1. What triggered me? Step 2. What did I think? Step 3. How did I react? Step 4. What did I avoid? Step 5. What did I feel after? When you see it on paper, it loses power. Because now it's not a mystery, it's a map. And once you see the map, you can change the route. That's the work. Breaking the loop isn't about fighting thoughts. It's about changing behavior. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about responding differently to emotion. It's not about escaping fear. It's about standing in it until it breaks. You have to rewire the story you've been telling yourself. This is how I'll always be. No, this is how you've always reacted. That's different. And reactions can be retrained. Every moment you choose awareness over autopilot, you break the loop. Every moment you choose courage over comfort, you rewrite the code. That's the transformation happening. quietly, powerfully, consistently. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling, say, "This is just the loop. I'm not living in it anymore." That one declaration shifts your identity from prisoner to commander. Because anxiety may visit again. It probably will. But you won't live in it anymore. You'll walk through it, eyes open, calm, controlled. That's what mastery looks like. That's the new pattern. Remember this forever. Anxiety is a loop. It's not your life. You're the one who decides how long the loop keeps spinning. And when you stop feeding it, when you stop obeying it, when you start acting in spite of it, that's when the loop dies. That's when you're free. You've broken the cycle. You've taken the power back. You're no longer living in fear's routine. You've reclaimed your mind. Now it's time to reclaim your emotions. You mastered the pattern. Now, let's master the reaction.
Chapter 3. Control the first thought, or it controls you. Everything starts with one thought. Not 10, not 1,000, just one. The first thought after a trigger decides your next emotion, your next action, your next hour, sometimes your whole day. That's how powerful it is. That's how sneaky it is. Most people don't lose to life. They lose to that first thought. The anxious mind attacks fast. It fires the first thought before you even realize it's happening. What if something goes wrong? What if I embarrass myself? What if I can't handle it? And if you don't catch that first spark, it becomes a fire. That's how anxiety spreads. Not from what happens, but from what happens in your head the first second after it happens. That first reaction is the seed of panic. And if you don't plant something stronger, it grows into fear, doubt, and overthinking. But here's the truth. You can train that moment. You can train the space between trigger and thought. That's where emotional control is born. That's where toughness lives. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can let that first thought control you, or you can control it. Let's get clear. The first thought isn't always your fault, but the second one is your responsibility. You can't stop your mind from firing automatic reactions. That's biology. But you can stop yourself from believing them. That's mastery. The mind loves momentum. Once it starts down a path, worry, anger, fear, it wants to keep running. And that's why you have to stop it early. Because the earlier you intervene, the easier it is to redirect. Think of it like a car rolling downhill. If you stop it at the top, one hand can hold it still. Wait too long, and you'll need an army to stop it. That's how the first thought works. Catch it at the top, or it will crush you at the bottom. Here's how you take control. Step 1. Notice the first spark. When you feel the shift, that tiny drop in your stomach, that flash of tension, pause. Don't run, don't react. Just say to yourself, there it is. That's the first thought. Awareness is your weapon. Once you see it, it can't control you. Step 2. Label it. Put words on it immediately. This is a fear thought. This is an old pattern. This is my brain repeating last week's worry. Labeling strips the thought of its mystery. And when the thought loses mystery, it loses power. Step 3. Redirect it. Replace it with something deliberate. If the first thought says, I can't handle this, you answer, yes, I can. I've handled worse. If it says, this is going to be bad, you answer, we'll see. Let's find out. That's control. Not ignoring, not denying, redirecting.
That's how you rewire the brain, not by forcing positivity, but by choosing authority. You're the one who decides what happens after the first thought appears. That's the key. Most people live their whole lives reacting to thoughts they didn't choose. They wake up and instantly surrender their peace to whatever the mind decides to feed them. Today feels off. I don't want to face work. I'm tired. I'm anxious. And before they even stand up, the day is already lost. That's the cost of not controlling the first thought. Your day doesn't start when the alarm rings. It starts with the first thought you obey. So take that moment back. When you wake up, when you face something hard, when your mind starts running, command it. Say out loud, "No, we're not doing that today." You don't need your mind's permission to feel calm. You decide. That's power. Understand this. The brain's first thought is rarely the truth. It's the fastest thought, not the smartest one. It's just a reflex. It's survival mode, not logic, not wisdom, just noise. But the mind learns through repetition. If you challenge that first thought enough times, it starts generating better ones. It starts working for you instead of against you. That's the discipline. Not perfection, repetition. Every time you replace a negative first thought with a calm one, you strengthen a new neural pathway. You are literally rewiring your mind's default setting. That's science. That's mastery. You don't need to fight your thoughts. You just need to choose your response faster than fear can take over. That's the goal. And here's what you'll notice. At first, it feels impossible. You'll catch the first thought too late. You'll realize you've already spiraled. That's okay. That's part of the training. You're not failing, you're practicing awareness. Every time you recognize the pattern a second earlier, you win. Every time you catch yourself mid-spiral, you win. Because awareness always comes before control. You're teaching your mind to pause before panic, and soon that pause becomes automatic. That's the shift. That's when you go from being controlled to being in command. You have a choice, always. You can be dragged by the thought, or you can walk beside it and decide what happens next. Let's make it real. You're driving and someone cuts you off. The first thought? Idiot. How dare they? That thought spikes adrenaline, anger, tension. You're in the loop. Now try this. Catch it, label it, redirect it. There's the first thought, anger. Then replace it. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Not my story to tell. You just stopped stress from hijacking your body. That's mastery. Or maybe your boss sends a short email. We need to talk. The first thought, I'm in trouble. Pause. Label it, fear thought. Redirect. Let's see what it's actually about. You just saved yourself 2 hours of mental suffering. That's how it works. This is not theory. This is training your brain in real time. Here's the real challenge. You must practice calm when you don't need it, so it's ready when you do. Control isn't built in chaos. It's built in quiet. When you're alone, pay attention to what your mind says first. When nothing's wrong, train it. When life is still, rehearse. So when life shakes, you're already ready. That's what mental toughness is. It's not about never feeling anxious. It's about never letting anxiety run the first move. It's not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. Remember this mantra. I control the first thought. I decide the direction. Say it again and again until it becomes reflex. Because your reflex decides your reality. You don't need to stop every thought. You just need to choose which one wins. You don't need to predict the future. You just need to direct your focus. And it starts in that first second, that invisible moment where the anxious mind tries to take the lead. Catch it, name it, redirect it. That's your formula. That's how you build emotional control that lasts a lifetime. When you learn to control that first thought, you start controlling your entire day. When you control your day, you start controlling your emotions. When you control your emotions, you start controlling your life. It's all connected. It all starts with awareness. So next time your mind throws the first blow, don't swing back. Step back. Don't react. Respond. Don't panic. Choose. Because when you control the first thought, you control everything that follows. You've learned how to stop reacting to your thoughts. You've learned how to intercept the spark before it becomes fire. Now we go deeper, because overthinking is what keeps the fire alive long after it should have burned out. You've mastered the first response. Now, let's master the overreaction.
Chapter 4. Overthinking is mental exhaustion, not intelligence. Let's make one thing clear. Overthinking isn't a sign of intelligence. It's a symptom of fear. It's not depth, it's delay. It's not analysis, it's avoidance. Overthinking doesn't make you smarter. It makes you slower. It drains your energy, kills your momentum, and replaces action with endless what-ifs. You tell yourself you're just being careful. You call it preparation. You disguise it as being thorough. But deep down, you know the truth. You're tired. You're scared of being wrong. You're scared of failing, so you think yourself into paralysis. That's not intelligence. That's exhaustion. Mental exhaustion disguised as productivity. Here's what's really happening. Every time you overthink, your brain burns energy solving the same imaginary problems again and again. You're running the same loop. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? What if I make a mistake? And your brain, trying to protect you, plays the whole movie in your head. You experience the stress, the fear, the embarrassment, all of it, without anything even happening. That's mental torture. And when you do that enough, your mind gets tired. Your body follows. You lose focus, you lose drive, you lose yourself in endless scenarios that never existed. That's the cost of overthinking. You live more in imagination than in reality. You have to understand this. Overthinking feels productive because it mimics the rhythm of problem solving, but it never produces a result. It feels like motion, but it's not movement. It feels like work, but it's not progress. You end up convincing yourself that you're doing something. I'm just planning. I'm being cautious. I'm considering every angle. But really, you're burning time. Time you'll never get back. You don't need to think more. You need to decide faster. You don't need more data. You need more courage. That's the key. Here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. Overthinking is not mental gift. It's mental undiscipline. You've trained your brain to default to doubt instead of decision. That's what's really going on. It's not about IQ, it's about control. The smartest person in the room still loses if they can't shut their mind off long enough to act. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you're too tired to execute, they die inside you. You don't need more ideas. You need direction. You don't need to know everything before you start. You need to start to know anything. That's what breaks the loop. That's how you take back your energy. Let's break it down. Overthinking happens in 3 stages. Stage 1. Fear of making the wrong move. You believe there's one perfect path, and if you miss it, you're doomed. So you stall. You research. You ask for opinions. You wait for clarity that never comes.
But there's no perfect path. There's only the one you choose, and the courage to stick to it. Stage 2. Endless replaying. You keep revisiting past mistakes, trying to rewrite what already happened. You replay the conversation, the decision, the regret. You think you're learning, but you're really just punishing yourself. Learn the lesson, not the pain. You can't drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. Stage 3. Imaginary forecasting. You try to predict every possible future. You think through every potential outcome, every failure, every reaction. But here's the truth. 99% of those predictions never happen. And even if they did, you'd handle them the same way you've handled everything else, one step at a time. Overthinking doesn't prevent pain. It just makes you suffer in advance. So what do you do instead? You replace overthinking with decisive focus. Here's how. Step 1. Set a time limit for thinking. Give yourself a window, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 day, whatever fits the decision. When that time's up, you decide. No extensions, no excuses. That's how you train decisiveness through deadlines. Step 2. Limit your inputs. Stop asking 10 people for advice when you already know the answer. Stop scrolling for opinions that match your fear. You don't need more validation, you need more conviction. Step 3. Trust your training. You've already lived through mistakes. You've survived worse. You have experience. Use it. Don't keep questioning your judgment just because anxiety wants control. That's the discipline. That's how you conserve mental energy. Understand this. The brain is an engine. If you leave it idling too long, it overheats. That's what overthinking does. Burns your mental fuel with no movement. That's why you feel drained after doing nothing. That's why you feel exhausted after a day of thinking too much. Your brain's been working overtime on problems that don't even exist. You don't need to fix every thought. You just need to stop feeding the useless ones. You have a choice. Every time your mind starts looping, you can either fuel it with more thoughts or starve it with silence. That's the key. Starve the loop, feed the focus. Let's say you're about to send an important message, maybe to ask for an opportunity, to confront someone, to take a risk, and your mind starts the loop. What if they reject me? What if it backfires? What if it's not the right time? Stop right there. Recognize the pattern. That's not strategy, that's fear. Label it, this is overthinking. Then act before your brain talks you out of it. Because every second you wait, your courage dies a little. You don't grow by thinking about bold moves. You grow by making them. You don't build confidence by replaying fears. You build it by proving them wrong. That's how you transform overthinking into power. And here's something most people miss. You can't outthink anxiety with more thinking. You outthink it by not engaging it. You end the argument by refusing to play. When the loop starts, step back and say, no, not today. I've got things to do. Then move. Do something physical. Act, walk, write, speak. Shift your energy from mental to physical. Action is the cure for overthinking. Always has been. Because when you move, your brain follows. And when you act, anxiety loses its throne. Repeat this truth until it sinks in. Overthinking is not thinking too much. It's thinking the wrong way. It's not your mind being powerful, it's your mind being undisciplined. And discipline is what fixes it. You train your mind the same way you train your body, through repetition, limits, and consistency. You don't need peace to act. You need action to create peace. That's the reversal most people never make. So next time your mind starts spinning, say this: I don't need to solve everything. I just need to do the next right thing. That's it. Not the perfect thing, not the safe thing, the next right thing. That's how you build clarity. That's how you conserve strength. That's how you get your life back from the endless noise of what if. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides when to stop listening to them. You have a choice. Choose silence over spiraling. Choose action over analysis. Choose progress over perfection. Because overthinking isn't wisdom. It's wasted energy. And once you stop wasting it, you'll discover how much power you actually have left. You've learned how to stop thinking yourself into fear. You've learned how to break the loop before it drains your energy. Now it's time to go deeper, into the muscle behind all mental control, focus. Because you can't quit anxiety if your attention is always scattered. You can't master peace until you master presence. You've silenced the noise. Now, let's sharpen your aim.
Chapter 5. Calm is a skill, not a feeling. Everyone says they want to be calm. They talk about peace like it's a destination, something they'll finally reach when life stops being difficult. They wait for the world to slow down, for the stress to end, for people to behave. But calm doesn't work like that. Calm isn't a feeling that visits you when everything is perfect. It's a skill you build when everything is not. It's a trained response. It's discipline under pressure. It's control when everything in you wants to react. That's the key. Calm is not luck. It's not genetics. It's not something some people just have. Calm is built through repetition, through exposure, through the choice to stay centered when chaos calls your name. You don't become calm by escaping the storm. You become calm by learning to stand still in the storm. Think about it. Every time you lose control, when you snap, when you panic, when you overreact, it's not because you're weak. It's because you haven't trained that part of you yet. You've trained your body to walk, to drive, to type, to lift. But have you trained your mind to stay still? Have you practiced not reacting when something triggers you? Have you learned to breathe when your body says run? If not, of course you lose control. Of course you spiral. Because calm isn't built through intention. It's built through repetition. You can't read your way into peace. You can't listen your way into mastery. You have to live it, moment by moment, situation by situation. The world will keep testing you. It's supposed to. The test isn't about what happens, it's about how you respond. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone disrespects you. Someone doesn't reply, doesn't show up, doesn't do what they said they would. You can explode, you can internalize, or you can observe. And that third option, the pause, that's where calm is built. Calm begins with the pause, the space between trigger and reaction, that half-second gap where you can choose awareness instead of emotion. That's the training ground. That's where you win or lose control. You have a choice in that gap, always. Understand this. Calm is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of emotion. It's being angry but not ruled by anger. It's being afraid but not paralyzed by fear. It's being uncertain but moving forward anyway. Calm doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't feed the feeling. You let the emotion pass through you without letting it take command. You breathe, you detach, you decide. That's emotional discipline. That's the art of staying in control when the old version of you would have fallen apart. Here's what most people never realize. Calm is a competitive advantage. When you're calm, you think clearly. You see what others miss. You respond instead of react. You become the eye of the storm, the still point
while everything else spins. That's power, because the person who stays calm controls the room. The person who stays calm controls the negotiation. The person who stays calm controls themselves. And that's the highest form of control, not over others, but over your own reactions. You can't control people. You can't control circumstances, but you can control your state. That's real power. That's freedom. Calm is a skill, so let's talk about how to train it. Step 1. Rehearse calm in small situations. Don't wait for a crisis to start practicing. Start with daily friction. When the line moves slowly, when the internet lags, when someone interrupts you. That's your training ground. That's where calm is built, rep by rep. Don't sigh, don't roll your eyes, don't feed frustration. Just breathe. Observe. Stay neutral. Every time you do that, you're rewiring your nervous system to associate discomfort with control instead of chaos. That's how you build calm as a reflex. Step 2. Build routines that anchor you. Calm isn't found in chaos. It's maintained through structure. You can't expect your mind to stay centered when your life has no rhythm. Morning rituals, exercise, stillness, time away from screens. Consistency is not boring, it's stabilizing. Discipline is the foundation of calm. Because when your body knows the plan, your mind doesn't need to panic. You've trained it to trust you. Remember this: disorder outside demands order inside. The more unpredictable life gets, the more disciplined you must become. Step 3. Master the breath. Your breath is the control switch of your nervous system. Fast breath equals panic. Slow breath equals power. When anxiety hits, the first thing that changes is your breathing. When fear rises, you breathe shallow and fast. Your body prepares for threat. So when you want calm, reverse it. Breathe slow, deep, controlled. Inhale calm, exhale control. Do it enough, and your body learns that you are safe, no matter the situation. That's real calm, biological, not theoretical. Step 4. Stop expecting the world to calm down for you. The world won't change. People won't stop testing you. Pressure won't disappear. If you keep waiting for life to calm down, you'll die waiting. The goal isn't to eliminate stress, it's to thrive in it, to become someone who performs at their best under pressure. That's what warriors do. That's what leaders do. That's what calm people do. Because calm doesn't mean nothing happens. It means nothing shakes me. That's strength. That's power. That's mastery. And when you finally understand this, that calm is earned, not given, you stop looking for peace outside yourself. You stop depending on perfect circumstances. You stop waiting for people to treat you right before you feel okay. You become your own anchor, your own peace, your own stability. And that's when nothing can move you. That's when you become untouchable. You have to remind yourself daily. Calm is a practice. Calm is a choice. Calm is a muscle. Every time you don't react, you're training. Every time you stay silent when anger begs for attention, you're strengthening control. Every time you breathe through tension, you are becoming unstoppable. It's not about being passive. It's about being precise. Calm doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you act with intention instead of impulse. That's mastery. That's how you win battles others don't even know they're fighting. So when you feel chaos rise inside you, remember, you don't need the world to change. You don't need people to behave. You just need to stay steady. You've already been through storms before. You've already survived days you thought would break you. You're not fragile. You're built for this. Calm isn't what you find when things are easy. Calm is who you become when they're not. You are training for control. You are conditioning for composure. You are mastering your emotional state, and that mastery is freedom. You've learned to stand still in the storm. You've learned that calm isn't born, it's built. But there's one thing that will try to steal that calm faster than anything else: your craving for certainty. Because the anxious mind can handle pain, but it can't handle the unknown. And until you master uncertainty, you'll always be a prisoner to fear. So let's go there next.
Chapter 6. Stop seeking certainty. Learn to trust yourself instead. Every anxious mind has one addiction, one craving that never gets satisfied: certainty. The anxious mind wants guarantees, proof before action, clarity before commitment, answers before peace. It wants to know before it moves. It wants life to show its cards before it dares to play. But life doesn't work that way. It never has, and it never will. You can't have both, absolute certainty and absolute growth. One kills the other. Certainty feels safe, but it's an illusion. It's your mind's way of pretending it can control what it never could. And that illusion is the very thing that's keeping you anxious. You think you're searching for safety, but really you're searching for control. You're trying to make the unknown predictable. You're trying to script life in advance. That's what anxiety does. It convinces you that if you think long enough, if you prepare hard enough, if you anticipate every possible outcome, you'll be safe. But all that thinking, preparing, anticipating, it doesn't prevent pain. It just multiplies it. You suffer twice, once in imagination and once in reality, if it even happens at all. You've been trained by fear to believe uncertainty is danger. It's not. It's the arena of life. The unknown is where you grow. The uncertain is where you evolve. The unpredictable is where you find who you really are. That's the truth. Think about it. Every major moment in your life began with uncertainty. The job you took, the relationship you started, the decision that changed everything. You didn't know how it would end. You just trusted. You stepped in anyway. And that's when life moved. That's when you grew. The irony? Every time you've demanded certainty, you've stopped yourself from moving. You've frozen potential. You've delayed progress. You've suffocated opportunity under the weight of what if. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I get hurt? But here's the real question. What if you miss the life you were meant to live because you were too busy trying to predict it? That's the real danger. Not uncertainty, but inaction. You can spend your whole life trying to get ready, trying to gather more information, more signs, more reassurance. But you'll never feel ready, because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You don't need certainty. You need trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. That's the real anchor in an unpredictable world. Because you can't control outcomes, but you can control effort. You can control discipline. You can control response. That's enough. Listen closely. The people who move fastest in life aren't fearless. They're faith-driven. They've learned to act despite uncertainty. They've built a mindset that says, "I'll figure it out when I get there." That's not recklessness. That's confidence. Confidence built on history. The history of every obstacle you've already overcome. You've handled uncertainty before. You've made it through chaos before. You've solved problems before. So why do you keep doubting yourself now? Every anxious thought that begins with, "What if I can't?" should be replaced with, "Even if I can't yet,
I'll learn. That's mental toughness. That's maturity. That's peace through trust. You need to break your dependency on certainty, because certainty is a trap. It keeps you small. It keeps you waiting. It convinces you that you need all the answers before you can move, and that's how your dreams die in delay. You have to become someone who acts in uncertainty, not someone who waits to escape it. You don't control the ocean by stopping the waves. You control it by learning to surf. You don't master life by predicting it. You master it by adapting to it. That's the skill. That's the freedom. Here's how you train that skill. Step 1. Redefine uncertainty as neutral. Your brain tags unknown as danger. That's a false label. The unknown is just information you haven't processed yet. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just uncertain. When your mind says, "This is scary," reframe it. "No, this is new." That's how you teach your nervous system not to panic at possibility. Step 2. Make small decisions fast. You can't build trust by overanalyzing every minor choice. Pick a restaurant, choose a time, send the message. Start training your mind to move, not hesitate. Every small decision made without overthinking builds evidence that you can handle life as it comes. That's how confidence compounds. Step 3. Embrace the "I'll handle it" mindset. Certainty says, "I need to know what will happen." Trust says, "Whatever happens, I'll handle it." That second one sets you free, because now your peace isn't dependent on the outcome. It's rooted in your ability to respond. And when peace comes from within you, nothing outside you can take it away. You have to stop confusing control with safety. Control is the biggest lie anxiety sells you. You don't need to control outcomes. You need to build resilience. You don't need to predict the future. You need to strengthen the person who live it. That's the switch. That's the mindset that changes everything. Because uncertainty doesn't disappear when you get stronger. It just stops scaring you. You start seeing it as challenge, not chaos. You start using it as training, not threat. Let's be clear. The world won't promise you guarantees. You can do everything right and still get hurt. You can plan everything perfectly and still fail. But that's not a reason to fear life. That's the price of living it fully. You can live half a life, safe, cautious, predictable, and call it peace. But you'll never know freedom. You'll never know power. You'll never know what you could have become if you had trusted yourself enough to leap. And that's the tragedy of the anxious mind. It spends so much time trying to protect itself from pain that it misses the joy of living. Don't do that to yourself. Stop trading possibility for prediction. Stop trading growth for comfort. Stop trading peace for control. Because control isn't peace. It's prison. And every time you let go a little more, you get closer to freedom. You don't need certainty about tomorrow. You need certainty about yourself. You need to know this: I'll adapt. I'll adjust. I'll learn. I'll rebuild. That's true confidence. That's the foundation of calm. That's how you silence the anxious mind, not by knowing everything, but by trusting yourself through anything. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for clarity before you act. Or you can act your way into clarity. One keeps you stuck. The other sets you free. You already know what to do. You just need to stop asking for permission to do it. You've broken your addiction to certainty. You've learned to trust yourself instead of your fears. Now it's time to understand where anxiety really hides. Not in thoughts, not in theories, but in your body. Because you can quiet your mind all you want, but if your body stays in panic, your peace will never last. So let's go deeper.
Chapter 7. The body keeps the panic, calm it, and the mind follows. You can quiet your thoughts. You can rewrite beliefs. You can even tell yourself, "I'm fine." But if your body doesn't believe you, you're not fine. Because anxiety isn't just a mental problem. It's a physical memory. Your mind forgets, but your body remembers. Every scare, every rejection, every moment you froze instead of fought back. Your body kept the record. That's why sometimes you wake up anxious for no reason. That's why your chest tightens when nothing's wrong. That's why your breath shortens even when your thoughts seem quiet. Your body isn't broken. It's protecting you. It's replaying danger signals from a past that felt unsafe, even if the present is safe now. The body doesn't speak in words. It speaks in sensations: tightness, restlessness, nausea, racing heart. And if you don't listen to those signals, they get louder. So when your anxious mind loops, your anxious body joins the rhythm, a feedback cycle that fuels itself. Thought, tension, panic, more thoughts. You can't think your way out of that loop. You have to feel your way out. Step 1. Understand the language of your body. Most of us live cut off from our bodies, stuck in our heads. We think faster than we breathe. We react before we notice. Your anxious body is always speaking, but you've been trained to ignore it. You've been taught to be logical, stay strong, keep moving. But the body doesn't heal through logic. It heals through presence. When you start noticing your physical reactions, you start realizing something powerful. Your body isn't your enemy. It's your alarm system. Anxiety is just an alarm, a false one maybe, but still a signal. It's saying, "Hey, something feels unsafe." Your job isn't to argue with it. It's to show it safety. Because calm isn't a command, it's a conversation. You can't yell "relax" at your nervous system. You have to teach it that you're safe again. Step 2. The science of panic. Why you feel it in your chest. When your brain senses danger, real or imagined, it hits the panic button, the amygdala. The amygdala doesn't wait for logic. It reacts. Instantly, your sympathetic nervous system lights up. Adrenaline surges, your heart races, blood flows to muscles. Fight, flight, or freeze. That system evolved to save you from tigers, cliffs, or physical threats. But in modern life, it activates for emails, traffic, conversations, or memories. You're not in danger, but your body doesn't know that, so it keeps firing like you are. That's why panic feels so real. Because it is, in your body. Your body thinks it's under attack, and your mind believes what your body feels. Step 3. Calm the body, and the mind will follow. Here's the truth. You can't outthink a nervous system in survival mode. You have to reset it. And the reset button isn't in your brain, it's in your breath. 1. Breathe like you're already safe. When you're anxious, you breathe fast and shallow, signaling danger. When you breathe slow and deep, especially with longer exhales, you tell your body, "It's okay. We're not running anymore." Try this. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 2.
Exhale gently through your mouth for 6. Do that for a minute. You'll feel your heartbeat slow, not because the fear is gone, but because your body stopped fighting it. That's real regulation. Body first, mind second. 2. Ground yourself in the physical now. Panic lives in the future, in the what if. Grounding pulls you back to what is. Look around. Name 5 things you can see. 4 things you can touch. 3 sounds you can hear. 2 things you can smell. 1 slow, deep breath. You just told your brain, I'm not in danger, I'm here. That's how you end the panic loop. 3. Move, shake, stretch, walk. Anxiety is energy trapped in the body. Movement releases it. When you walk, stretch, dance, or even shake your hands, you give the adrenaline somewhere to go. That's why you often feel better after a run or workout. It's not distraction, it's regulation. Step 4. Stop fighting the feeling. Every anxious person makes one mistake. They fight anxiety like it's a war. You try to suppress it, hide it, argue with it, or drown it in distractions. But suppression tells your body, this is dangerous. Acceptance tells it, this is safe to feel. And only safe feelings release. Next time your chest tightens, don't panic. Just whisper to yourself, this is just energy. My body thinks it's protecting me. Then breathe into the tension, not away from it. Feel it without judgment. That's how you retrain your nervous system. Not by forcing calm, but by letting it find its rhythm again. Step 6. The body remembers, so teach it new memories. If your body has learned fear, it can also learn peace, but you have to practice it. Every calm breath is a new memory. Every relaxed posture is a new message. Every moment of grounding teaches your body that safety exists now, not later. Over time, your baseline changes. Your body stops reacting to every unknown as danger. It starts trusting your leadership again. That's what healing looks like. Not never feeling anxious, but recovering faster because your body believes you're safe. Step 7. Reconnect. Don't run. When anxiety hits, the instinct is to escape, get away, shut down, distract. But the only way out is through awareness, through breath, through presence. When you reconnect with your body, hand on heart, feet on the ground, slow breath, you tell your system, I'm here with you. That's what anxiety has always wanted, your presence, because presence equals safety. Step 8. Create a body-safe routine. Your nervous system loves consistency, so build micro-rituals of calm that tell your body you can relax now. Morning. 5 slow breaths before touching your phone. Midday. Step outside. Feel sunlight on your skin. Evening. Gentle stretch or warm shower. Physical signals of safety. These aren't self-care hacks. They're rewiring tools. They teach your body that safety isn't an emergency. It's the new normal. You can't think your way into calm forever. At some point, you have to feel safe enough to stop analyzing. You have to let the body lead. Your body has been screaming for attention, not punishment. Every panic attack was a message, not a malfunction. It wasn't saying, "You're broken." It was saying, "Please, slow down." So start listening, start breathing, start moving. Because when your body calms, your mind stops searching for danger that isn't there. Your mind and body aren't two systems, they're one conversation. And the moment they start speaking the same language, calm begins. You can't control every thought. You can't erase every fear. But you can regulate your system until fear stops running the show. That's how you stop the anxious loop, not by fighting your thoughts, but by soothing your body. You are safe to relax now. You are safe to...
Chapter 8. Discipline ends anxiety. Structure is the ultimate freedom. You keep chasing peace, but peace isn't found. It's built. And the tool that builds it is discipline. You think you need more calm. You think you need more motivation. You think you need to fix your mind. No, what you need is structure. Because anxiety feeds on chaos. It thrives in indecision, distraction, inconsistency. When your life has no order, your mind fills the gap with fear. The truth is simple. Discipline ends anxiety. Not because it erases emotion, but because it anchors you. Structure gives your mind a pattern to trust. Without it, you live in reaction. With it, you live in control. Step 1. Chaos feeds anxiety. Routine starves it. Let's be honest. Your anxiety doesn't appear out of nowhere. It grows in the spaces where there's no direction. When you wake up without a plan, your mind starts writing one with worry. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if I can't handle it? That's how anxiety works. It fills the vacuum of structure. You don't need another deep breath. You need discipline. A consistent rhythm that your nervous system can trust. Discipline isn't punishment. It's predictability. And predictability is safety. When your brain knows what comes next, it stops scanning for threats. That's why people who build routines often feel calmer, not because they're lucky, but because their structure tells their body, relax, you're not lost. So start small. Wake up at the same time. Move your body at the same time. Eat, rest, work, with rhythm. Every repeated action tells your system, this is stability, this is safety. And that's how discipline starts dissolving anxiety. Step 2. Discipline isn't control, it's direction. Anxious people crave control, but they crave the wrong kind. They want to control outcomes, emotions, and other people, things they can't touch. Real control comes from discipline, from owning your behavior, not your circumstances. You can't control how someone talks to you. You can't control every result. But you can control how early you wake up. You can control what you focus on. You can control whether you act with order or drift in reaction. That's power. That's how discipline becomes therapy, not through perfection, but through choice repetition. You build confidence through every small promise you keep. You tell your anxious brain, we do hard things, and we finish them. That sentence reprograms fear into trust. Anxiety whispers, you can't handle it. Discipline answers, watch me. Step 3. Routine creates freedom. Most people run from structure because they think it limits them. They think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But that's not freedom. That's chaos disguised as choice. True freedom is knowing your direction so clearly that you don't have to think about it. Every disciplined person knows this truth. When your day has structure, your mind relaxes. When your life has order, your emotions quiet down. Discipline is the opposite of anxiety. Anxiety is noise.
Discipline is signal. When you know your signal, you stop chasing the noise. That's why monks, athletes, and high performers all follow strict routines, not because they enjoy rigidity, but because structure gives peace of mind. You can't be anxious when you're engaged with purpose. You can't spiral when you're busy building. Purpose is the antidote to panic. Structure is the antidote to uncertainty. And discipline, that's the bridge between both. Step 4. Emotional discipline. Feel, don't feed. Let's talk about emotional discipline, because anxiety isn't just about behavior, it's about reaction. Every emotion wants to drag you somewhere. Fear says run. Anger says fight. Shame says hide. But discipline says breathe. Emotional discipline means you don't obey every emotion. You observe them. You let them rise and pass. When you feel anxious, you don't need to fix it right away. You just need to hold it without collapsing into it. That's real mastery. Staying steady when your feelings want to take control. And that steadiness only comes from practice. The repetition of staying grounded in storms. You can't wait for emotions to behave before you build structure. You build structure so your emotions behave. Remember this line: discipline doesn't remove emotion, it regulates it. That's the difference between chaos and control. Step 5. Self-discipline is self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, anxiety loses ground. Because anxiety thrives where self-trust is missing. If you tell yourself, "I'll wake up early," and don't, your subconscious remembers. If you promise, "I'll stop scrolling," but keep going, your brain learns not to trust you. And a mind that doesn't trust its owner can never relax. Self-discipline is self-respect in action. It's proof that your word matters to you. And when you live like your word matters, anxiety has nothing to cling to. Because certainty comes from integrity. And integrity is born from discipline. Every time you choose order over impulse, your brain learns, "I'm in charge." That's peace. That's power. Step 6. The myth of feeling ready. You won't feel ready to be disciplined. You'll feel tired. You'll feel scared. You'll feel unmotivated. Do it anyway. Discipline isn't about feeling ready. It's about showing up regardless. That's why disciplined people look calm. Because they stopped waiting for permission from their emotions. You don't need your mind to agree before you act. Action teaches your mind what to feel. You don't think your way into discipline. You act your way into control. That's the real secret to breaking anxiety's grip. Anxiety waits for perfect. Discipline acts in progress. Step 7. The rhythm of control. Start with structure you can win with. Don't try to change everything overnight. If your morning is chaos, build the first 30 minutes into ritual. Wake, water, breath, movement. That's not trivial. That's neurological training. The more predictable your actions, the calmer your mind becomes. Because predictability equals safety. And safety is the opposite of anxiety. So plan your days. Set boundaries. Finish what you start. Not to be robotic, but to be reliable. You become trustworthy to yourself. And that trust becomes peace. Step 9. The discipline of saying no. There's one more form of discipline no one talks about. The discipline of no. No to distractions. No to drama. No to people who drain your focus and feed your anxiety. You can't heal in chaos. You can't grow around noise. Sometimes the most powerful discipline is walking away. Every no protects your peace. Every no builds your boundaries. Every no says, "I choose calm over chaos." That's the discipline anxiety fears most, the discipline to protect your energy. Step 10. The discipline of consistency. You can't do this once. You have to do it daily. Discipline only works when it's repeated. Consistency rewires the nervous system. Your brain learns safety through repetition. It learns confidence through pattern. Every day you choose order, you weaken the anxiety loop. Every day you show up, your inner voice gets quieter. Because anxiety loses power in predictable environments. Structure is your medicine. Consistency is your dosage. You don't need to get rid of anxiety. You need to remove the chaos that fuels it. And that starts with discipline, the daily, quiet decision to do what grounds you. Discipline is how you take your power back. Discipline is how you tell your nervous system, we're safe now. Discipline is how you prove to yourself that control was always inside you. You don't wait for calm. You build it. You don't wait for clarity. You create it. You don't wait for peace. You practice it. That's the real cure for anxiety. That's the secret every strong mind eventually learns. Freedom is not the absence of rules. Freedom is built through structure. You've learned how discipline grounds your emotions. Now it's time to understand how silence strengthens your power.
Chapter 9. Stop fighting thoughts, starve them. You can't fight your thoughts. You can only feed or starve them. Every anxious thought you wrestle with grows stronger. Every argument you start in your own head gives it oxygen. And the harder you fight, the tighter the trap. That's the paradox of anxiety. It feeds on your resistance. You think you're fixing it, but you're fueling it. The truth is this: your thoughts want attention, not agreement. When you stop giving them attention, they lose power. You don't need to fight them. You need to starve them. Step 1. The nature of thoughts. They're just noise. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. But anxiety tricks you into believing every thought is truth. Every image is reality. Every fear is prophecy. It isn't. It's just mental noise. You have tens of thousands of thoughts every day. Random, irrelevant, irrational. Most of them vanish the moment you ignore them. Only the ones you feed survive. That's the key. Attention is nutrition. Your anxious mind lives off what you feed it. Every time you replay a worry, you're feeding it. Every time you argue with a fear, you're feeding it. Every time you analyze the why, you're feeding it. You can't starve what you keep feeding. The way to take your power back isn't to fight harder, it's to withdraw attention. Step 2. Fighting thoughts is still thinking them. When you tell yourself, stop thinking this, your brain hears one word: thinking. You've already lost the fight. The more you push a thought away, the more your brain tags it as important. That's why unwanted thoughts return stronger, because you mark them as danger. Fighting thoughts is like splashing water on a grease fire. It spreads, it grows, it burns hotter. What you resist persists. What you observe dissolves. You don't need to crush your thoughts. You just need to see them without engaging. That's awareness. That's detachment. That's control. Step 3. Let thoughts flow. Don't build dams. Imagine your thoughts like a river. When you try to stop the flow, the pressure builds. When you let it move, the water clears on its own. Your anxious thoughts work the same way. They only stick when you grab them. Next time anxiety hits, do this. Notice the thought, name it quietly. There's the fear. There's the what if. There's the self-doubt. Then breathe and let it pass. Don't add judgment. Don't add story. That's called non-resistance, and it's one of the most powerful mental disciplines you'll ever master. Because calm doesn't come from having no thoughts. Calm comes from not needing to believe them. Step 4. The thought loop and how to break it. Anxiety's favorite trick is the loop, one thought feeding the next. What if I fail? I shouldn't think like this. Why can't I stop thinking like this?
Now you're anxious about anxiety. That's the loop. You can't end the loop by adding more thinking. You end it with presence. Step out of the mental storm and into the physical now. Feel your feet. Notice your breath. Say silently, "This is just a thought, not a threat." That's how you break the feedback cycle. You pull your energy out of the mental world and anchor it in the real one. Your mind slows down when you stop feeding it with fear. Step 5. Detachment is not avoidance. This is important. Starving thoughts doesn't mean pretending they don't exist. It means letting them exist without attachment. You don't suppress, you observe. You don't avoid, you allow. Avoidance is fear. Detachment is mastery. Avoidance says, "I can't handle this thought." Detachment says, "This thought has no power unless I give it attention." When you stop taking every mental story personally, you discover how small they actually are. Most thoughts are nothing more than echoes, old fears replaying out of habit. You can't erase echoes, you just stop responding to them. That's how you starve them. Step 6. Starving thoughts through action. Action is the enemy of overthinking, because while your brain spins, your body waits. Anxiety wants stillness, but not the peaceful kind. It wants paralysis. It wants you stuck in your head. The way you starve thoughts is by doing what they tell you not to do. They say, "You can't." You move anyway. They say, "It won't work." You act anyway. They say, "You'll fail." You take the next step anyway. Every action weakens anxiety's control, because your brain learns through behavior, not argument. You can't debate fear, you can only disprove it through motion. Action feeds confidence. Inaction feeds anxiety. Every choice is a meal. Decide what you want to nourish. Step 7. Don't solve thoughts, simplify them. An anxious mind loves complexity. It overanalyzes, replays, explains. You don't need to solve every thought. You just need to shorten the sentence. Instead of, "What if I never get better?" say, "That's a worry." Instead of, "Why do I always think like this?" say, "That's thinking." Label it, simplify it, move on. That's cognitive minimalism, mental clarity by naming the noise. Every time you simplify, you cut energy from the loop. Every time you label, you regain perspective. The goal isn't to stop thinking. The goal is to stop identifying. That's how you stay in control, not by wrestling thoughts, but by reducing their gravity. Step 8. Your thoughts are not warnings, they're habits. The anxious brain loves to disguise habits as threats. That's why every "what if" feels urgent. But most of your anxious thoughts are just repeated patterns, not real danger. You've trained your mind to think in fear. You can train it back into calm. The same way your body learns muscle memory, your brain learns mental memory. Every time you react to fear, you strengthen the fear circuit. Every time you stay calm, you weaken it. So don't panic when old thoughts return. See it as practice. Every replay is a new chance to respond differently. Every trigger is a test of discipline. Remember this: anxiety isn't the problem, your reaction to it is. When you stop reacting, you stop reinforcing. When you stop reinforcing, you start rewiring. That's how you starve the anxious loop. Step 9. Silence is the ultimate rebellion. Anxiety demands a response. It wants you to talk back, argue, fix, explain. But silence kills it. When a thought screams for attention and you give it none, it starves. When a worry begs for validation and you breathe instead, it weakens. When fear throws a tantrum and you stay still, it dies out. That's your power, your refusal to react. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to stop feeding fear. Because your thoughts only win when you engage. They can't survive in silence. Silence isn't ignorance, it's mastery. It's the sound of a mind that's no longer obeying noise. Step 10. The practice of starvation. You don't do this once, you practice it daily. Every time a thought appears, you ask, will feeding this make me free or trapped? If it traps you, starve it. If it strengthens you, feed it. Feed gratitude, feed focus, feed presence. Starve fear, starve judgment, starve self-doubt. That's the game. That's the discipline, and it's built in silence, repetition, and awareness. Because your mind follows your attention, and attention is the most powerful weapon you own. Stop fighting your thoughts. Stop trying to win a war inside your own head. You win by walking away. You win by building a life too full, too focused, too structured for fear to feed on. Anxiety lives in the mind that entertains every story. Peace lives in the mind that observes and moves forward. You have a choice. Feed your peace or feed your panic. That's how you end anxiety, not by force, but by starvation.
Chapter 10. The New Identity. The Calm Commander. You've fought the war inside your mind long enough. You've analyzed, you've resisted, you've tried to control every thought, every outcome, every emotion. And now you're ready for the truth. Anxiety ends when identity begins. You must build a new version of you, not the anxious reactor, not the overthinker, not the worrier, but the calm commander. That's who you become now. This is not a metaphor, it's a blueprint. Because identity dictates behavior. If you keep calling yourself anxious, your mind will obey that label. If you start living as calm, your mind will follow that command. It always listens to the voice in charge. Step 1. The commander does not react, he directs. The anxious mind reacts. The calm commander directs. There's a difference between chaos and command. Chaos happens to you. Command happens through you. When you are anxious, every sound, every text, every silence feels like a threat. You live in reaction mode, twitching, checking, second-guessing, explaining, apologizing. That's not control, that's survival. But the calm commander doesn't live in survival. He creates stability. He watches the chaos and says, "This is not me. This is just noise." He doesn't rush to fix the feeling. He leads through it. Remember this. Leadership begins in the mind. You cannot lead others until you can lead your own thoughts. And leadership doesn't mean perfection. It means steadiness. It means being the same in the storm as you are in silence. Every time anxiety shows up, ask yourself, am I reacting or directing? If you're reacting, pause, breathe. Command your tone, command your posture, command your breathing. You're reprogramming your nervous system in real time. That's the power of identity. When you act like a commander, your body believes you are one. Step 2. The commander trains, he doesn't wait. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for confidence before they move. They wait for clarity before they act. And that's why they stay trapped. The calm commander doesn't wait. He trains. He trains his focus, his energy, his reaction every single day. Because mastery is not a moment, it's maintenance. You cannot think your way out of anxiety. You must train your way out of it. Wake up and train calm. Walk slower, speak slower, breathe deeper, hold eye contact, let silence hang. This is not weakness, it's control. You're teaching your body a new normal. Because anxiety lives in momentum. It needs your constant rush, your urgency, your panic. When you slow down, you starve it. When you hold ground, you take power back. Every action either reinforces your anxiety or your calm. Every choice is a vote for one identity or the other. Ask yourself, who am I training today? The panicked one or the commander? That's the question that changes everything. Step 3. The commander chooses simplicity. Anxiety thrives on complication. It loves what if. It loves maybe. It loves I don't know. But the calm commander cuts through that fog with one rule. Keep it simple. You don't need 100 coping mechanisms. You need one clear principle. Control what's in front of you. You don't need to solve the entire future.
You need to do the next right thing. You don't need to make everyone like you. You need to respect yourself. That's it. Simplicity is the foundation of strength. When you strip life down to what truly matters, your breathing, your effort, your discipline, peace becomes automatic. The calm commander doesn't drown in options. He decides, he acts, and he moves on. Because he knows indecision is a form of self-torture. You can't build a peaceful life if you keep treating every choice like a crisis. Choose, adjust, continue. That's command. Step 4. The commander speaks in declarations. The anxious mind speaks in questions. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if they leave? The calm commander speaks in declarations. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I show up. When you speak with authority, your mind follows. You are reprogramming it through repetition and tone. Say it out loud every day. I am not anxious. I am aware. I am not scared. I am steady. I am not losing control. I am learning command. You might not believe it at first. That's fine. Say it until you do, because your subconscious listens to consistency, not emotion. It doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you repeat. That's the secret. You've been repeating anxiety for years. Now you repeat calm. That's how the new identity sticks, through repetition and discipline. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Step 5. The commander chooses the hard thing calmly. Every time life tests you, the late message, the rejection, the silence, the setback, you have two options: panic or command. Anxiety is the easy path. Command is the earned one. The commander chooses calm even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He says to himself, this moment is my training. He reminds himself, I've survived worse. He remembers, calm is power. Because that's what calm really is. Not softness, but stability. Not avoidance, but awareness. Not emotionless, but emotionally strong. And the more you choose it, the more automatic it becomes. Soon, calm won't be something you chase. It will be who you are. That's identity transformation. That's the end of anxiety. You started this journey identifying your anxious mind. You learned that your thoughts are not you. You learned that anxiety is a loop, not a life. You learned that control starts with the first thought, not the 10th. You learned that calm is a skill. You learned that certainty is an illusion and discipline is the real peace. And now you build your new self, the calm commander. This is your moment to stop surviving and start leading. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can live reacting to life or commanding it. You can live repeating your fear or repeating your calm. The voice you feed becomes the voice that leads. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who commands them. And that is how you quit your anxious mind.
Closing. The final command. You've just learned how to quit your anxious mind, not by escaping it, but by mastering it. You know now that anxiety is not who you are. It's a pattern, and patterns can be rewritten. From this day forward, you choose control over chaos. You choose calm over fear. You choose discipline over distraction. Remember, calm is a weapon. Focus is power. Silence is strength. Don't wait for peace to find you. Create it, train it, live it. The next time anxiety whispers, don't answer. Observe it, breathe, and move forward. Because from now on, you don't chase calm, you embody it.
This is your new identity, the calm commander. Now go prove it. Every hour, every day, every thought.